There was a man named Daniel who, at some point in his late 20s, stopped reaching for his phone when it buzzed. Not out of discipline, not out of strategy. He simply stopped caring who was on the other end. It wasn't always like this. At 19, Daniel fell for a girl named Sana. He fell hard, the kind of falling where your chest tightens when her name lights up your screen, where you rehearse sentences before you send them, where silence from her feels like a slow drowning. She left on a Wednesday. No fight, no event, just a quiet unraveling. It was the way interest dies when someone finds a better frequency to tune into. He didn't cry, he didn't call. He sat in his car for 40 minutes, engine off, staring at a parking structure wall, and something inside him, something small, something load-bearing, quietly broke. Not his heart, his wiring. Over the next 3 years, Daniel dated, but something had shifted. He showed up to dinners, he laughed at the right moments, he asked the right questions, but he never leaned in. He never adjusted his life to accommodate someone else's rhythm. Women noticed, not immediately, but eventually they all arrived at the same confusion. He wasn't cold, he wasn't cruel, he was just still, like standing in front of a door with no handle, not rejected, just unanswered. And here is what none of them expected. His stillness made them move more. A woman named Priya rewrote 3 messages before sending one. She deleted a sentence, she added another. Daniel replied 2 hours later. Neutral tone, no questions. She told herself she didn't care, then checked her phone again 11 minutes later. She never understood that Daniel wasn't playing a game. He had simply stopped believing the game had a prize worth winning. Psychology has a word for this, avoidant attachment, but that term misses something. Avoidance implies fear. Daniel wasn't afraid. He was optimized. Somewhere between Sana and his 26th birthday, he built an internal economy where autonomy paid better than attachment, where control felt safer than connection, where silence felt cleaner than explanation. He didn't feel empty, he felt regulated. And in a world addicted to emotional chaos, his stillness looked like power. The less he needed, the more people gave. His attention became a rare currency, his approval a reward no one quite knew how to earn. He never said, "Prove yourself," his nervous system already had. Then came Mira. Mira didn't chase, she didn't escalate, she didn't rewrite messages. She mirrored his distance perfectly, not as a tactic, but as her own architecture. For the first time, Daniel's indifference met its reflection. No imbalance, no tension, no one filling the silence with meaning. Just 2 people sitting across from each other at a restaurant, both internally sovereign, both untouched. He expected this to feel like peace, like finally meeting someone who operated on his frequency. Instead, it felt like nothing. Not calm, not clarity, nothing. The absence of friction revealed the absence of everything else. No pull, no curiosity, no warmth leaking through the cracks, just 2 locked doors facing each other in an empty hallway. That night, Daniel sat in his car again, engine off, staring at nothing. And for the first time in years, he felt something move inside his chest. Not love, not longing, something worse. Recognition. He had spent 7 years building a fortress against pain, and it worked. Nothing could hurt him, but nothing could reach him either. The mechanism that protected him from dependency had quietly flattened everything else. The texture, the heat, the risk that makes another person feel like more than a variable in an equation. He thought about Sana, not the version that left him, but the version he was when he loved her, the version that rehearsed sentences, that felt silence like drowning, that sat in a parking structure with a cracked chest and still believed the next person might be worth it. That version of Daniel was inefficient, irrational, vulnerable to a degree that now felt almost embarrassing. But that version could feel a room change when someone walked into it. That version understood why people write songs. That version was, in every way that mattered, alive. Daniel didn't call anyone that night. He didn't make some grand decision to change. Real transformation doesn't work like that. But he did something small, something he hadn't done in years. He replied to a message without waiting, without calculating, without measuring the return on investment. It was one sentence, nothing profound, but for the first time in a long time, it was honest. And honesty, not power, not control, not indifference, is the only thing that has ever made anyone worth knowing. Daniel never became the man he was at 19. That version was gone. But he stopped pretending the fortress was a home, because the truth about walls is simple. They don't just keep people out, they keep you in. And the loneliest man in the room was never the one who got rejected. It was the one who made sure he never could be.